Good afternoon, everyone. So welcome to another session for software for accountancy, and you are with me. I am Niran, and we are diving in ERPNext because I think that's open source ERP software that you can use for free. Although, as I mentioned last time, ERP software is usually pretty good, all across. But when you pay for the license, usually you pay for maintainability, stability, and things like that. But as you will see, toward our time here, that ERPNext is, even if it's free, it's pretty feature-rich, and there's a lot of things that you can explore. And feel free to ask me if you want me to explore into something that pertains to your expertise, because I want to know, what you are interested in terms of the business side or accounting side. Okay, I'm from engineering side. Okay, so today we're gonna continue on the sales and purchase module. Okay, last time we did a little bit of accounting module and then the purchase module, and we go through this process, right? The process of purchase things, and usually you purchase things from the supplier. You purchase in bulk. No, this is not retail. Okay. And it starts from the purchase order. So as you can see from the blue text, that's the name of the documents in ERPNext. Okay, so the purchase order is almost like a deal. Okay, it doesn't affect your accounting ledger yet, but what happened next is going to affect your ledgers. Starting from the, I would say, financial side would be to create the purchase invoice. And then that affects your liability because you are liable to pay your supplier, okay? And once you are liable to pay, then you have to pay to actually make that payment and money going out from your asset, and that is payment entry, okay? But then you need to take care of receiving, your products, your goods, right? And the purchase receipt is doing that. And purchase receipts is also going to reflect your assets too, because once you receive your product, the products become your assets. But then I guess the movement between the balance is coming from the liability side to the asset side with the account that come from material purchase but not bill, which is something that I mentioned that it's like a buffer account that you can use to make the double entry works for the material cost side, okay? And today we're going to do the sales flow, because once you purchase your goods into your inventory, then you want to sell it, you want to make profit, right? And you want to sell for profit too, okay? So let's do that. And you're going to notice that the sales cycle is pretty much the same, very similar, except that some of the directions are reversed, right? The money actually going out from you, and you become the creditor instead of the debtor and things like that. Wait, you are, yeah. So somebody owe you money instead of you owing somebody money and things like that. Okay. So let me just go to the sale module. Okay. And again, this picture is very similar. Okay. I just changed a couple words and some direction. That's it. Okay. So we're going to start from making a deal. So this time you are offering your customer the price and the product. Okay, and again, if for the actual processes, there are usually a quotation that happen on the left of the sales order. Okay, and usually the quotation is done by the sales team. And then once the sales team confirm the quotation, then maybe the accountant or the sales, again, maybe the sales department issue the sales order. Okay, so I start with the sales order because it's shortened the flows a little bit. Again, this one is a deal, meaning that it does not affect your ledgers or anything, and you can cancel or update without affecting your account or balances. Okay. And again, once you make a deal, then there are two ways, the two paths, which is the financial parts. The first one, you're going to send your customer the invoice, meaning that they have to pay you. So they become your, I guess, debtor, right? There's debtors, so somebody who needs to pay you, right? And once they got the sales invoice and they need to pay you, and then once they pay you the money, then you can log in with the payment entry, okay? But the direction is kind of reversed now, okay? And then once once they pay you, then you need to deliver the goods, and then that document is called delivery note. The term, it's a bit, I guess, strange. For me, I use it a lot, so I'm familiar with this, but delivery note is the delivery, I guess, delivery documents, okay? And again, this one is going to affect your inventory and also affect your assets too, okay? We'll go through this thing one by one, shall we? All right? So if I go to my system, maybe the first thing is to check out, what items we have at the moment, because then if we don't have any items, then we cannot sell it, right? Okay, so I'm gonna go to my stock. Okay, let's just check our inventory first. Okay, as you can see right away that I have something in my warehouse because it has some value. Like I have stock values, right? And I guess we'll go through the stock module later on, but right now I'm gonna go for stock summary. Okay, stock summary will give you a quick glance over your stock situations. Okay. So right now I have pen and pencil in my warehouse. I have 500 pens and I have 950 pencil. Okay, so maybe I can sell that. Okay, you probably have something. If you don't have anything, you probably need to buy it, because then if you're selling something you don't have, it works for the financial side, but when you want to deliver, the system will not allow you to submit that document, because there's nothing in your warehouse, okay? So another thing that we can check is, how much does our stuff cost, right? Because we want to sell for profit, right? We don't want to sell for loss. So let's check it out. And ERP is especially good for that, okay? Another thing I want you to go to is called the stock balance. Okay, so I'm going to go to my stock, and then if there's a stock balance in here, right here, stock balance. Okay, so maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger. Okay, stock balance. Stock balance is the report, so you need to generate new reports because it needs to calculate a lot of transaction. Okay, and right away, if I calculate this, I will see that I have 3 things. Actually, I only have 2 things, but my pencil is actually in a different warehouse. That's why it's separate into 2 rows. You might see something different from me, but it's separate by the products and the location, basically, okay? And each location and products, you can look into your the cost of it by going to valuation. So it's kind of truncated like this, but the valuation is the cost of your stock, including everything that has been going on, including your purchase from, I don't know how many times with different prices, it averages out. If you have expenses and things like that, everything goes into your valuation. So essentially, this is from the asset account. So if you want to, if you input everything correctly, you can be pretty sure that this is something that you want to. I guess you can adjust your sales price accordingly, right? You want to sell for profit, okay? And maybe later on, next time we go on stock module, I'll show you that, like if you have operation within your warehouse, like moving things, if it costs money, then your valuation is going to start increasing. Like if you're adding things, adding your expense into the product, and things like that, you'll see that next time, okay? But right now, if I want to sell my pen, for example, the valuation right now is 10 baht. So I want to sell more than 10 baht, okay? All right, so let's go to sales cycle. We're going to go to selling, and we're going to go to sales order, okay? Again, you can type it, if you want, you can type it in the search bar. It also works the same way, okay? So right now it's empty, so let's add the new order, okay? So again, you have to kind of visualize the fact that you already deal with the customer. So the master data need to be present, right? So right now, if I click at the customer, I have no customer. But in reality, you need to create that customer in your system first. But you can go ahead and create it from this interface too. So that's quite convenient, okay? So I'm going to say customer 1, or maybe I'll say, I don't know, yeah, a brand pen, pen customer 1. Okay, something like that, right? You can choose whether these are company, and that doesn't affect anything, okay? Just choose particular, then, okay. All right, so I got the customer, so delivery, you can put it in here if you want this to be the default delivery date, or you can put it in below if you want, if you have a separate one for each product. I just choose today, doesn't really matter, okay. And we're gonna skip down until the items, okay, and this is where you'll specify the item you want to sell, so I'm do pen, okay. And again, the delivery date is already filled in automatically from the above specification. The quantity, I don't remember how much I have. Oh, maybe like 950. I'll just fill 100. Okay. And again, the rate. So make sure that the rate is more than the cost of your goods. Okay. So I think I remember 10 baht. So I'm gonna do 20. Okay. Something like that. Okay. You want to make profit, right? So let's do that. Okay. And if you have multiple items you want to sell, go ahead and add multiple rows. Okay. I'm just going to keep it like this. Okay. Usually if you see the red dots, that means you have problem with your stock. So let me go check my stock real quick. So the system is kind of smart enough to check whether you have enough stuff or not. So if I see red dots like this, maybe I'll check my stock to see if I remember the wrong information. So I'll go for stock summary. Just want to check whether I have it correctly or not, right? So I have my pen. Okay, so 500. So that seems okay. So I'm not sure why it's the red dot right here. We'll see. I'm not sure. But usually if it's red dot, then that means you don't have enough stocks. But I do have enough stock. Unless I specify the wrong warehouse. Let me check. So I can, so right now if I look into the detail of each item, so it's getting things from the store. So seems okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep going because right now, it's only the sales order, so it doesn't affect my balance or anything. So I'm gonna get save, and then I'm gonna submit, okay? Like that, okay? Again, once you generate this, once you submit this document, you can always print it out, right? For example, you print it like this, save it, send it to your customer, and so that they can, they know your agreements, okay? I want to do this step, okay? I'm just gonna go back. Okay, how do I go back? So go back to sales order, okay? So if I see my sales order, right now it's the deliver and bill, again, two flows, right? So I'm gonna go for the one above first, okay? So I'm gonna create something called sales invoice. Okay, let's do just that, okay? The best way that I recommend is to go to your sales order that you want to generate the sales invoice from, okay? And then you can create sales invoice like this. And this way, the information will be populated automatically, like this. Okay, so the pen customers, okay, and then there's a pens in here, okay, everything's good, right? Usually, if you don't change anything in the sales order, then you should be able to set saved, and then just submit it. Okay, all right, so maybe this is a good time for us to see, what happened in terms of your accounting, right? So in any document, if there's something that affects your balance, you can always view the accounting ledger, check to see what it's doing, okay, for a good exercise, right? So right now, it's creating the entry for debtor and sales, okay? So debtor is your asset. So if you have somebody owing you money, that's another asset, okay? But then the sale is the income account, okay? So as you probably know that when you have income, it goes on the credit side, right? But then that means that that amount go on the debit side in the asset categories. Okay, so this one makes sense to me, probably to you too, right? You guys are the expert, okay? Okay, so that's good. So we're gonna go back, okay? And now we are done with this part, right? We have assets, but then we need to collect that money, right? So, so you go ahead and collect that money, okay? The software will not do this for you, but once you collect the money, then you can log that into the system, okay? Again, the best way is to just go from the sale invoice if you see the arrow, right? This one, and then generate the payment entry, okay? So I'm gonna go to sale invoice and create the payment. It's just called payments in here, but the name of the document is called payment entry, okay? All right, and again, this one is similar to the purchase cycle, except that now the type is now received. Okay, if you track from if you were to recall from last time, you know, the payment is going to be pay. Okay, so that's when I mentioned, you know, the direction is reverse. What? Oh, how to go to payment entry? Okay, so usually I start from this flow. So if you want to go from payment entry, you go from the sale invoice of your choice, okay? How do you go from sale invoice? Maybe you can go from sales order. So maybe you can kind of link like this. Or if you know the particular name, you can type it in. Okay, so first way, I'm going to go from sale invoice. Let me show you this. Okay, I'm gonna go to my sale invoice. Right now, I only have one, so it's easy. So normally, if you have a lot in here, it's more difficult to find. Right now, it's very easy. So I'm gonna just say, this is my invoice. So the middle box, right? And I'm gonna create payment like this. Okay, like that. And usually, if you do this, you don't have to fill in. For example, this one automatically figure out to be received. You kind of receive the money, and also, you know, the customer, and also the invoice, and then the amount is automatically filled in for you. Okay, so that's probably the best way to do. Okay, and you should check. You know, just make sure that, you know, this is what they actually pays you, 2,000 baht for me. Okay, and again. The mode of payment, maybe today we'll configure this one a little bit, you know, further. But right now, just keep it cash because we haven't set up the account for the other mode of payment yet. So it's the system gonna yell at you. So let's do this. But we'll configure that in a short while. Okay. So saved and submit, like that. Okay. Again, you know, we should check, you know, what happened in the account, right? So right now you can look at the ledger, see if it makes sense, okay? So right now it's, I guess for me, I viewed it as a transfer of money, I guess. So it goes from debtor to the cash. So both of them are assets, okay? But it's just the different types of assets, right? So again, you just move your, I guess your credits, right, into the actual cash. Okay, that's all it's doing. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Just moving the asset things around, changing from debt into, changing from credits into the actual cash. Okay, so that's that's called I guess the money side. Okay, and next up, you know, you have to actually deliver your goods, right? So let's do that. Okay, again, if you want to create the delivery note, which is the blue, this term right here, actual name of the document. I guess for me, I would go back to sales order because that's when the everything's kind of originates from. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my sales order. Sales order. Okay, like this. And again, if you see the status, it says to deliver. So yeah, let's do just that. Okay. Again, here I can create a delivery note like this. Okay, let me just click that. Okay, and if you go from sales order, you don't need to change anything much. Right now, you know, the only thing you need to change is that are you actually delivering 100 or not, right? Sometimes you may do it, you know, more than one time. So if you do it less than 100 for me, then the sales order will know that you do not, you know, deliver everything, something like that. So you need to make sure that that's actually the amount that leaves your warehouse, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna hit save and then submit, okay? And now I'm done with the, I would say the simplest sales flow, because this is what I call the happy path, okay? Because this, you know, everything's perfect, okay? All right, but before we go further, let's look at what happened in our system behind the scene. Because, you know, when you deliver goods, there are two things happening. So there are things that happen in your account ledger. So I'm going to view accounting ledger first, okay? Like that. Okay, so let's see if that makes sense, okay? First, there is a movement between stocks in hand and cost of goods sold, okay? If I remember correctly, the stock in hand is the assets, because you have assets in your warehouse, right? And once you deliver it out, it needs to go down, so it goes for the credit side, right? But then the other one, cost of goods sold, is the direct expense, okay? Because that's the expense, right? And that, again, if you have expense, then that, you know, come from the cost of your stock. Okay, so it goes from asset into expense. That's how it works, okay? But that is not the only thing that happened, you know, because this is the accounting ledger. But you will soon visit this one very often next time, because another thing that this one affects is called stock ledger, okay? Because as I was mentioning last time, right, ERP actually hold two types of ledgers. One is stock ledger, the other one is accounting ledger. And both of them allow, you know, high flexibility in managing your money and your stuff. That's the part. So it's more complicated than just the regular accounting software because of that. Okay, so let's check what it is, okay? Stock ledger. You know, stock ledger is just the movement of stuff in your warehouse, right? So when you deliver something, it, you know, it has negative, you know, the change is negative. As you might see from me, it's minus 100 because, you know, 100 pens leave my warehouse. Very, very, I guess, very straightforward. But once you start to combine this thing together between accounting ledger and stock ledger, it can get pretty complicated, as you will see in the manufacturing, for example. That's when things are coming out and go quite a lot. Okay, but for now, it's very simple, right? Just 100 things leave my warehouse, so that's my stock ledger. Okay, and again, if you want to see your system as a whole, you can also delete this part. So right now, this part is specific to this delivery note. But if I were to delete this option of filter, then you can see why it is not doing all, because it's this day. So maybe I'll just move it back just 2 weeks ago. Okay, as you can see that from last time, because I just changed the dates into 2 weeks ago to today, so that's why I see everything. You can see that, you know, the act of buying things, when you're receiving things using the purchase receipt, the stock balance, I would say the stock ledger, you know, also get the entry, because these are the things that coming into my warehouse. And when you deliver things, then you have the things that leave your warehouse. Okay, you know, the number is one thing that, you know, the system keep track of. The other thing that the system keep tracks of is this guy right here, the valuation too. Okay. Valuation rate, okay? You know, if you go a little bit into the inventory management, you're gonna see that if things are coming in, the valuation is the price that you pay. But when things are going out, it's actually the cost of it, but then you have to, I guess, determine from various options. For example, are you going to do first in, first out, or first in, last out, or expiry first? And that option is going to determine which valuation of which goods go out first. And right now, it's what is called first in, first out. People usually call it FIFO. Okay, so if you buy things in different price, the price that happened first will go out first. So that valuation, when it goes out, it's actually matter. Okay, so there are a little bit of kind of like the way that people configure all of this in detail. It's called stock management. Okay, did you guys learn about this, like FIFO and things like that? Okay, so I don't want. If you know, that's good. Okay, maybe you can help me check. Because every time when I do the system, I try to double check whether it makes sense or not. So you can kind of detect something like this, okay? All right. Okay. Okay, so in summary, so I want to get a mental picture of what's happening here, okay? So this is what I visualize as the movement of balance, okay? So I have a asset category, so this is the account, right? And then I have expense, and I have the income. So when you go through the sales cycle, you're going to affect the account in different categories, okay? So first, it's going to happen when you create the sales invoice, okay? So right now, let's say I charge my customer 20 baht, okay? So when I create the sales invoice, then that's going to be, the entry is going to go to sales and debtor. Okay, so the sale is the income. Okay, when the income got credit, that means you got income. And then the debtor increases, you got, somebody need to pay you. Okay, that's sale invoice. And then when you make payment, the payment is just transfer of the asset into a different type of asset. So it goes from your debtor into your money. So as what I just did is called the cash, but it can be anything. It can be bank account, it can be anything. But again, you transfer, the balance between different types of assets, okay? And then the next thing that we did is the delivery note. So delivery note is to move your stock, which is the asset, going into the expense, okay? So that's the movement of things. And hopefully, if you sell things that are more than your cost, then you get profit, right? So hopefully that's the case, right? Okay. Okay, so why don't we just create more sales for you? So maybe you can start selling more things, okay, just to get just more practice, okay, before I move on. Okay, so just go through the sales cycle one more time on your own to see if you can reproduce what I just told you, okay? And feel free to experiment, okay? And that's the best way to learn, okay? Just try different things, like if it's like this, does it work, and things like that. That will be the best way to go. Okay, so I'll give you a couple minutes to try on your own, okay? Okay, so let me maybe show you some of the deviations that could occur during the sales cycle, because definitely not every deal is going to be perfect or happy like this. Okay, so one thing that can happen is let's say you do the sales order. So right now I'm just going to use the search bar because it's faster. Okay. Usually, if you don't see anything here, it could be probably because you had the filters on. So usually you are interested in the sales order that's not complete. So once it's complete, it usually hides it for you. So if you want to see everything, you can just click the filter. So a good trick that might kind of throw you off at the beginning. Okay. All right. So I'm going to create a new sales order, right? And then customer, maybe same person. I'm going to sell pen again, right? But right now I'm going to do maybe 50, right? And notice that when you sell it once, then the price of the goods is actually recorded. Okay, I'll show you later where it is recorded. Okay, let's say submit. Okay. Yeah. It's possible that when you generate sales order, you might want to change it. So sales orders allows you to update things without canceling because again, it doesn't affect your ledger. So in your sales order, you can update your item as long as you haven't billed it. If you start billing or generate your invoice, then you cannot update it anymore because it's now it's affecting your ledger. So right now I can just update things. So maybe I want to change this to 55. No problem. And you notice that I don't need to cancel too. Okay, so that's a nice thing about just stay at this stage. Okay, but once you're you're pretty much confirmed, then you can start doing the sales invoice. Okay, but right now maybe I want to bill them 2 times. I don't want to bill the customer just once, right? I can do maybe 30. I can do that too. Okay, so right now I changed my number in my sales invoice to something lower than the original amount in my sales order. Okay, I can save it, okay, and submit, no problem, okay. But what's gonna happen if I do this, right? Let me show you. If I go back to my sales order, okay, which again another quick navigation tricks is to use the connection tab. Because once you start to build documents from the other ones, then they do have the connection linked, okay? So I go to my connection in my sales invoice, I go to my sales order right away. And right now, maybe you don't, did you see this? As you can see that the amount bill is actually not completed because I haven't billed my customer, the complete amount, right? So right now it's manual, okay? So I bill them 30, and then so if I want to bill the other 25, I can also do that by another sales order, okay? So I can go back to my sales order, and I can create more invoice, okay? Like this, sales invoice, okay? And then check this one out. So the system already know that what I have left is 25, so it automatically pull up the rest of the amount. So it's kind of convenient, okay? And you certainly doesn't have to obey this number, right? You can just set it to be lower and it will just keep track of it. But yeah, maybe I want to bill my customer 2 times. You can certainly do that, okay? All right, like that, okay? Right now, if I go back to my connection, I can always go to my sales order. And right now, the status only deliver. And then if I go here, then you can see that I have billed everything. Something like that. And again, notice that we do this manually, but ERPNext also allow for something called the, the payment terms. If you have to do this very often, then you can set up a template where it automatically split between whatever 50-50 and will generate sales order for you automatically. So that's something that you can always, like, there's always something like this you can do manually, and there's going to be a template for you to do it automatically in everything in this software. So, but yeah, all right. So I bill, right? But then in terms of payment, I don't have to pay. I mean, I guess my customer doesn't have to pay me once too. My customer can do multiple payments if they choose to. So let's try something like this. I'm going to go back to my sales order, okay? And then, sales order. I'm going to go to my connection. And right now, I can see that I have 2 sale invoices, okay? Because, if you go to the list, then you might see too many things. But if you go from here, it will filter out the one that's relevant to your sale order. So it's kind of nice, okay? If you can see the filter, you can see that it's like sales order equal to the one that you're coming from. So it's a good navigation tricks for here, okay? Again, there are 2 sales invoice, so I'm just gonna pick one, okay? And here, this one is gonna charge 500 baht. So let's create the payment, okay? From this invoice, right? So normally, if you don't do anything, it was just gonna pull the total amount, which is 500 baht, right? But you don't have to pay 500 baht. For some weird reasons, your customer just pay you 400. You can certainly put that in, okay? Okay, I'm gonna submit, okay? So keep in mind that this time I guess the payment is not completed. And if I go back to my sale invoice, you're gonna see that it's partially paid. Okay, so that's something you can keep track of. And if I were to recall correctly, there are something like this. Wait, where is it? There's a part where I have to see. So I have to go to my sale invoice, right? And if I want to see maybe like a bird eye view of the amount of it, I think I have to go to list settings. So right now it's not showing the amount paid, right? So I can certainly toggle that. So there's a part where I can go to list setting, and I think I can choose some things in here that might show that. Okay. Status grand total. You see it? Okay, so I don't see that. I could be wrong. I thought I can toggle that that amount, but certainly maybe not here. So I'll look that up. I'm sure there's a way to do. Okay, but it's not here. All right. But either way, if you want to complete the payment, then you can create another payment that links to this particular invoice. And again, the system knows that this is the remaining amount, so it's already pulling 100 bahts into it. So you can certainly do multiple payments per invoice. You can certainly do multiple invoice per sales order. So as you can see, that's kind of open for a more flexible way of dealing with your customers. Okay, something like that. Okay, and also the parts where you need to deliver, also it's the same thing. For example, if I were to go back to my invoice or even sales order, okay, I'm going to go back to my sales order, and the delivery parts also can be create to be more detailed. I can do delivery note, but this one I only deliver maybe 30. Okay, doesn't really matter. I can do that and submit. Okay, and again, if I go back to my sales order, then I can see that I still need to deliver more. Okay, so you can certainly make things more, I guess, more complicated to suit a more complicated sales activity in your site. Okay. Okay, and once we start to have invoice, I think it might be a good time to revisit the reports that I've seen it the first time I visit this class, right? So as you can see that the accounting, right? If you expand it, there are payable, receivable, and financial reports, right? Again, we can go to receivable because we just create the invoice, right? You can check this one out, okay? And particularly if you want to check who, the invoice that hasn't been paid, then I think this one probably is going to be the important one. So the reports of the account receivable, so that one reports the incomplete invoice if you rebuild it. Okay, so right now I have one invoice that hasn't been completed, and then it has the age value. So remember that things come from when you do the pivot table, like sorting things by the age. Same thing, right? But since all the data is available, it's going to pull in the data for you, okay? Similar thing with the account payable. If you need to pay someone, you want to check your purchase invoice, then it's in the payable field. But right now, if you already complete everything, then it's going to be empty. Okay, so maybe you can try create your invoice and then see if it's showing up in your reports, something like this, okay? So feel free to play around with the report receivable, account payable, also another report that tells you the payment, the purchase invoice that's not complete. But right now mine is completed because last time I pay everything, so I have nothing here, okay? And also once you start to sell something, buy something, then I think your balance sheet, for example, in your financial statement report should get more, I guess, more data, and it should look somewhat, I don't know, should look more, that's something for you to inspect maybe. Okay, so you can check out your balance sheet to see if something makes sense or not. Like if you sell things, you should get some profits, right? Do you have liability, things like that? Okay, so you can check your financial statements, your trial balance. Since now you start to have things that are happening in your ledgers, okay? And again, all of these reports, it needs to be rebuilt because it needs to keep track of things that are in the past. So make sure you rebuild the reports, okay? And also the cash flow, things like that. Now you get the money in and money out, right? So see if that makes sense, or if you have some particular area where you want me to look into further, you can let me know. I'm happy, I'm interested to see what kind of things that you are, I don't know, want to inspect in particular. Okay, but I'll give you some couple of minutes to look around. So, the sales and the buying, payable, receivable, and financial reports, okay? All right, okay, so hopefully you have some fun with it. Okay, I just found out where to look for the remaining balance. So right now, because the list there, okay, so when you look at the list of document, there's always going to be list view, and there's actually another view. It's called report view. So this one is more detailed. So I was looking for the balance. So and apparently the list view doesn't show the remaining balance, but the report view does. So I go to the report view in my sale invoice, and I kind of go through here. You can see that there's a column called the outstanding amount, and that's actually the remaining payment. So if I look from here, if it's 0, then means it's completed. But then there's another invoice that hasn't been, I haven't collected the money yet. So it's 600 baht. So that's what I'm looking for. But it's actually not on the list view. It's in the report view. Okay, so that's something I look it up. Okay, because I'm curious. Okay. All right, so you certainly you can explore some more. But let me go through some of the common things that might happen, that's probably going to happen if you do the sales cycle and even purchase cycle, okay? One thing that comes up quite often is the sales and purchase tax, okay? Yeah, definitely, okay? In Thailand, if you buy from the establishment that has, income, that has the income more than 1.6 million baht per year, you have to deal with tax. It's called VAT, okay, the value added tax. It's 7% in Thailand, okay, not sure about your countries, okay. Again, your country might have something called sales tax, okay, and the difference is that the value added tax, it's the multi-stage, meaning that in the process where the goods is sold from one party to the party, there's a sales and purchase VAT, and then kind of keep, summing up everything. But then for sales tax, it only hits the final consumer. Okay, so I'm not an expert in tax or anything. It's very, very complicated. But in terms of the software, everything that has, these additional charges to the amount that you charge a customer, it can be handled in taxes and charges. Okay, so let me show you the way to do manually first. Okay. All right, so let's do sales tax, shall we? So I'm gonna go to sales order one more time. Sales order. Okay. And again, I have a lot of things in here. Okay. We're just gonna ignore this one. Okay. All right, I'm creating new sales order and another pen. Okay. And then this is gonna be pen. Okay. And just to make things easier, so I'm gonna say one pen costs 100 baht. Okay, so because I want it to be 100, and you can do 7%, it's gonna be easier to track. Okay. Yeah, so I want the total amount to be 100, so that you can see the percentage. That's all. Okay, but you can do the price that you have. Okay. And normally we just hit save, right? But if you scroll down, you're gonna see that there are sections that's called tax. but why is mine not, hold on, okay. Why do I get cropped in here? Okay, let me save one more time. Did it work? For some reason, it's cropping. Okay, let me go back and come back again. Interesting. It's actually, the part that I want is actually get cropped. Okay, why? Okay, hold on. Is it because of the, wait, that's so strange. It never happened to me before. Did it happen to you? Like, it's not going down. Oh, right here, okay. It's in here. So, okay, so the scroll bar is messing up. Okay, but the content's still there. Okay, right now, all right. If I were to go down, you can see, hopefully you don't have to do this, okay? Hopefully the scroll bar works, okay. Come on, man. Okay. Right here, you can see that there's a part that's called sales tax and charges. So that's more like additional things that happening, right? So let's just try something real quick. I'm gonna add a row in here, okay? And then I'm gonna set type. It's gonna be on net total. So usually the sales tax charge, like adding things on top of the total amount, right? So and once you do anything with money, like with the accounting, then you have to say which account you want this particular balance to be moved to, right? And this one, let's do something called VAT, value added tax. So I'm going to choose VAT in here, okay? And usually, if you want to see, what type of accounts is applicable in this field, then you can kind of scroll down in here. Let me show you this, okay? It's kind of hidden. Wait, I guess my scroll bar is messing up for some reason. Yeah, it's not, it's acting weird. Okay, right here. Okay, and if I look in here, you can see this one. Okay. Like the accounts that can go into this particular field is going to be a filter applied for tax and chargeable. So expense account, something like that. So so usually if I want to see what things can goes in here, I look for the filter. Okay, and these are the filter that like filter your account type. When you create new account, you have to specify what type it is. And these are the types of the account that goes into here, okay? And the one that I'm going to choose is the liability account. It's called VAT, okay, like that, okay? And you can choose 7% or any percentage that you want, okay? And right away, you're going to see that the 7 baht get charged on top of your total amount, and your grand total is going to be wait, my scroll bar is messed up, okay? It's 107. Okay, let's just move go through with this. Okay, so I'm gonna hit save. Okay, and submit. Yeah, like that. Okay, so now I have added my text, and now my scroll bar is back to normal again. I don't know why. Okay, okay. So again, this part doesn't affect anything in your ledger. Okay, it's just the order. Okay. But once you create your invoice, so let's go through with the sales cycle, shall we? I'm going to create my sales invoice, okay? And then I'm going to move down to see if that information get propagated, and it is, right? Right now, if I see my invoice, it's going to say amount 7 baht on top of the total amount, okay? That's good. So it come through, okay? So I'm going to save and submit. Okay. All right. So it might be nice to see what happened to your account balance, right? Accounting ledger. Okay. So before, if you don't have tax, then it's just gonna be movement between sales, which is your income, to the debtor, which is your asset. So it's just gonna be debtor and sales moving the balance from one to another. But now, since you have tax and then you specify a different account to keep track of, then you're going to have another one in here. So VAT in here that I have is the liability. So as you can see that your credit 7 baht here, that means that you owing somebody 7 baht and the one you owe to is the government. So in the end, I guess in Thailand, you have to file your VAT, I guess every month or so, I don't remember. And usually you have to, I guess, summing the balance between the purchase and the sale VAT. And so, so you have to keep track of them, and this is a way to do, okay? So yeah, so that's how it happens, okay? And you can go on with the payment, okay? Because the customer has to pay you 7 baht extra, right? Okay. So create payment. Okay, so let's just assuming the customer pay full amount, right? So right now the paid amount is also 107, including tax, okay? Saved and submit, okay? Okay, and again, you can also go through with the delivery, right? Because once you, the customer pay, you get a delivery. So let me just finish that too. So go back to my sales order. Okay, so this one to deliver. Yeah, let's do that. Create delivery notes, okay? Submit. Okay. Again, the delivery note balance that get affected will be the same, so I'm not going to show them, okay? So that's how you do. Another way that you might want to do is to, sell the price that without that is already included the tax. That's another way that you can do. So maybe let's do that too, okay? So another sales order. And another same customers, okay, and pen, okay, and just deliver, okay. So there's many ways to do, but one way that you can do very easily is that if you want the price to include the tax, then that means that, let's say I want the total price to be 100 bahts, right? So that means the actual price is lower, and when it adds 7% on top, it should be rounded to 100. There are many ways to do. One easy way to do is actually to do this 100, which is the price that I want, right? And then times 100 divided by 107. So this is, and you can do this calculation, and once you click outside, it's gonna calculate the price for you. So that will be the price before tax, okay? See? It's 93.46. You can try that. So you can do calculation within that field, and then just click outside. It will just make that. So I think that's kind of nice. Sometimes you just want to do a calculation stuff, so it allows you to do that. Okay. So right now it's 93 bahts, right? So let's adding the tax, shall we? Again, and now it's my scroll bar is weird again. Okay, I'm going to add row, right? And then I'm going to do on net total, okay? And this one's going to go to VAT, okay? And 7%. And right now you can see that my total should be 100, grand total, something like that. Okay, so that's a quick way to do. I'll mention another way you can do, okay? There are ways to do, for example, you specify the price first and then you subtract it out later. There's another way, but this one very clear, right? Okay. Okay, you can save if you want, or you can disregard it if you want, okay? But I'm gonna save it because, yeah, I'll just save it, submit, okay, that's it. Okay, and again, you can go through the sales cycle with invoice and payment and things like that. Okay. Okay, so up to this point, I want to show you the. Okay. So you might notice that every time that we want to add the text, right, we have to create a new row, and then we have to, I guess, specify the account. That gets tedious quite quickly. So another way would be to create a template for this activity, and exactly that's what ERPNext also provides. So we're going to go to accounting, and let's check out this menu real quick. It's called the accounting and sales tax and charge templates. Okay, as you might imagine, this is a template for specifying the tax. Okay, so let's do sales tax first, shall we? Okay, and right now, because when I set up your system, I set the locale to be Thailand, so that's why it already created the Thailand tax for us. Okay, so let's check out what Thailand tax is. Okay, so this one is going to be, as you can see, that this is the specification that you just did manually, but once you did it through this template, then it helps you calculate things automatically. Okay. Okay, something like that. Okay, so this is just something that you can create by yourself if you need another percentage. Okay, so you can create a new templates too. Okay, so let's use this template next time, shall we? Make things quicker. Okay, so go back to my sales order. Okay, and just add new order with my customers. Okay, and now my pen. Okay, and deliver, and then quantity. Okay, and now if I go to the tax and charges, now instead of typing things manually, I can just use the template. Okay, there's a place where you can do the templates here, and that's exactly what it's doing. Like if you click in here, it's gonna do the same thing that we just did, but automatically, something like that. Okay. Okay, and then you can go through the same thing with the sales invoice and payment and things like that. Okay, okay, maybe I'll just do one more time so that I have some entry in my accounts. Okay, because I want to show you in the end, what do we end up with in terms of the sales and purchase tax. Okay, so I'm gonna go on with my sale. Okay, and invoice. Okay. I think the invoice is enough to demonstrate the VAT calculation parts. Okay, the payment is doesn't matter in terms of the tax part. Okay, all right. So right now, if I sell two things and both things have sales tax in it. So how do I see the summary? Would be nice to see, right? So easier things would be to go to the ledger. So it's called general ledger. Again, this is just the same, account ledger, but this one is like, without any filtering. Okay, so general ledger. And sometimes it does have filtering for you, so maybe we'll just rebuild things, or we can clear things a bit. So right now, it has this filtering on, so that's why it only show, very small entries, right? These are the entries, I guess, from today, right? Okay, so what I want is I want to select particular accounts. I want VAT, okay, like that. So this one is the filtering on the display itself, right? But I can also do this. If I want to see the account, I can put the filterings in here. Okay, so there are two places for filtering. This one is filtering before rebuilding, and the one below is filtering after rebuilding. So if you want to be more complete, you can do it before. So I choose my account to be VAT, right? And then I rebuild again. Then this is what I end up with. Okay, so right now I have two entries. And again, this one goes on the credit side. So that means that I'm owing government this much. So I guess the end of the month or something, I need to file the tax, value added tax, okay? And if you want to see where does this come from, then you can go a little bit to the right, and then at the voucher number, these are the particular documents that generates that entries in your accounting ledger. Okay, so I heard that some people send this information to the accounting firm to do some processing before submitting to the government, things like that. So that's what I heard from. Okay, so these are the entries, right? Okay, and usually when you do sales tax, that's one way. But then there's another part where if you buy from the supplier, then usually you have to pay for the purchase tax. And again, it will kind of balance things out in here. So let's do that too, shall we? So this is on the sales side, but then we do another things on the purchase side too, okay? Okay, let's do the purchase tax, shall we? Okay, so when you do the purchase tax, you do the purchase order. Okay, let's do purchase order. Oh, before we go, I forgot to give you this picture, okay? I don't know if it's helped you or not, but right here. So I guess this is what happened when you add tax into the picture, okay? So quite similar to what you did before, where if you do the sales, then the sale invoice will move the balance from income into your debtor, okay? But once you start to add in the tax into it, actually what happened is like you have the income and you have the liability, and both of them add to your debtor, where you need to collect the money from your customer. So that's the different parts that goes into it, right? So you add this part into it. It goes into your debtor, okay? I didn't mention this part, but actually the system actually do some round off. So sometimes you want to keep the balance to be like flat, like 100 baht, not just when you do the tax. Sometimes you have little amounts that need to be rounded off. That rounded off amount can also go into your expense. For example, sometimes the price doesn't match like 100 baht exactly. So there are 0.04 that you can absorb it from your company. So you go into the round off. Okay, so sometimes you might notice later on if your price become like a non-integer value, then the system will do the round off for you too. Okay, and you're gonna see some balance happening in the expense called round off. Okay? And once this part's done, the rest is the same. The payment move things from debt into the asset, different types of asset, and delivery move the stock into the expense. Okay. All right. So that's a more complicated version of your sales. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna go to the purchase one now. So purchase order, shall we? Okay. And supplier, okay, pen factory. I'm gonna choose my pen, okay. And then item, pen. Okay, let's just buy pen for, I don't know, 1. And then also 100. Okay, so I just want to show you the price, okay. All right, so again, you're gonna see a familiar looking section. It's called tax and charges, right? And again, if you want to do it manually, be my guest. But since we already, we have sales templates, right? Actually, the system also have the purchase tax templates. So if you click here, then you're gonna see that there's another template for purchase. Okay, so let's click that. And right away, it creates that 7% tax for you. But keep in mind that this is the tax that you are paying. So it's not the customer, you are paying. So it's actually different. It's different side of tax than the other sales activities, okay? But let me just go through with it, right? So right now, the total amount that I need to pay is 107, okay? But 7 baht is actually the tax part, okay? So saved and submit, okay? And again, the purchase order does not do anything to your accounting ledger. So we need to at least create the purchase invoice. So I'm gonna go for purchase invoice. Okay, and all the information should be populated like before, 7 baht, right? I wanna save it and then submit. Okay, so once we did that, let's check out to see what happened to our account, okay? See if it makes sense, okay? So right now, what's happening is if you don't have tax, then you don't have VAT in here. So it's going to be just the interplay between these two accounts, creditor and stock received but not bill. As I was mentioning, these two accounts are liability, But then the stock received but not billed account is more like a buffer for when you deliver, actually receive the goods. Okay? But then once you start adding tax into it, then you also adding another entry that belongs to the liability too. But then this one is the other, I guess, the entry is on the debit side. So if you debit the liability, that means somebody owe you money. Because right now you're paying tax, so the government actually owe you that part. Or you can use this one to offset the sales VAT that you need to pay the government, basically. But again, if it goes on the same account, then that means that in the end, we can total everything and then report to the government accordingly. Okay, so that's the part that's adding in. Okay. Okay, so for now, I can go ahead with just the payment too. So never mind, I'll just pay it too. Okay, but the payment part is not different from before. Okay, again, once we did that, I can always go back to my accounting ledger, right? General ledger, right? And if I were to rebuild, actually this is not the one I want. I want the one with the VAT account. Okay? Oh, VAT, like this. Okay, and rebuild. Wait, that's too many. I choose two. Okay, let's clear. Okay, clear all. I only need this one. Rebuild. Okay, as you can see that right now, I have 3 entries in my ledgers. Right, the first 2 come from sales VAT, which I owe government. But then the last one, 7 baht, is from the purchase tax, which actually government owed me. But then in the end, I can total everything and come up to be, I can total the price and report to the government accordingly if it's on the same account. Okay, so things like that. Okay. Okay, and the part that I mentioned about the movement of the balance is right here. So this is the purchase part, right? So before you are only dealing with the creditor and stop but bill once you create the purchase invoice, right? But once you create the tax part, then it's another account in the liability that actually get the balance from. Okay, so that's something that get created when you do the purchase invoice. Okay, so I guess this is for me because I usually want to visualize how things are going on under the hood. So this is kind of help me like internalize this concept for me actually. Okay, but maybe for you, you have a different way of thinking about it. Okay. Okay, so next stop, I guess I want to maybe introduce you, I don't know, you guys, about withholding tax. I guess for me, I experienced this directly because I do rent the house. I own some properties, and when I rent it out to individuals, usually I get the full payment. But then I rent out to the company, I always get withholding tax. I always get less money. So I guess this is something my direct experience for me. So withholding tax is something that it's a tax that gets deducted during the payment. I guess for you, if you go out to work, that you experience this too. Because if your salary is, let's say, 10,000 baht, right? Then you get a little bit less every month because your employers actually withhold some of your salary for you because the government wants that money. So they devise a plan for all the company to withhold the tax for the government. So that way the government get the money quicker. So that's the part where you do the withholding tax. Okay, so we're going to try simulate this particular things in ERPNext. And it's actually not different from what you have learned from the sales tax or VAT at all. It's just the reverse direction, okay? And this is a part where it's good because I can introduce you to the item that, relevant to the the item that is not the stock item. Okay, so what I mean is that let's say this company, you need to rent an office from someone, right? And we want to pay for the rents. How do we do this, right? And usually, ERP system, you need some item for it. But this item, rental, is special because we don't really want to track how many rentals we have in our inventory. Doesn't make sense, right? So there's a special type of item. This is called a non-stock item. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my stock. Okay, and item. Okay, and you should see your regular item that you buy and sell, right? I'm going to add a new one. This one, I'm going to say rental. And again, rental, let's say it's I don't know, service or anything. So it's not really products or raw materials, like it's just a service, right? And the most important thing is this part right here. So you have to untick the maintain stock. Because if you don't maintain stock, it's just the placeholder for whatever you want to do transaction with, but it doesn't affect your stock ledger. Okay, so saved. Okay, and now you should have a rental. Okay, and the most important thing is that it's not the name or the like this category. It's not important. The most important thing is this part is not ticked. That's the most important thing. Okay. So you should not maintain stock for rental. All right, so maybe let's rent something from someone, but then we also want to do the withholding tax too, okay? So I'm going to say purchase order. So let's say I pay some rent, right? As a company, I pay some rent to the I get the homeowner, okay? So I'm going to add a new purchase order, okay? And supplier, this time is going to be, I don't know, homeowner. Or should I say, yeah, homeowner one or something, right? It's going to be individual or something. Yeah. All right, so the item code would be rental, okay? And required by just some dates, okay? But again, the quantity doesn't really matter because we don't track the amount anymore. So usually just say one. Unless you have a specific reason for putting more than one, it doesn't do anything to your stock balance anyway. Okay, I guess we'll just pay some rent. I don't know, 5,000 baht per month or something. Okay. I mean, if I don't have to deal with tax, that's the amount that I need to pay to that homeowner, which is me, the other side, right? But then if I'm a company, I need to withhold 3% tax before I pay, right? And I need to keep track of that 3% and report to the government. No? Okay, so how do I do this? I just go down to the tax parts again. Okay, and then I just do it manually first. Again, you can always do it with the templates, okay? But again, I can do, on net total, right? And the account, and then this part is kind of tricky, right? Because we haven't really created a new account for withholding tax yet. Maybe we want to create a new account to keep track of that. So let's create a new account, shall we? See, I hate this one. This one kind of makes my, so I'm going to create a new account. Okay, and this one, I'm going to just say withholding tax. I usually do WHT because not long, okay? And account number is fine, right? Parents account, okay. I want to go for, see, I don't remember where should I go for, so I'm going to check real quick. So I'm going to go charge, I'm going to go to my webs, right? I'll go for charge of account. Okay, I want my tax to be in the liability, okay? So it's going to be duty and tax. How about this? I want to go next to the VAT. Okay, so maybe I can do that. Is there duty? This one. Okay, I can search for the folder. Basically, this is the name of the folder. Okay, duty and taxes. Okay, and the type. So this one is a bit specific because you need to choose tax. Okay, if you don't choose tax, then sometimes it doesn't show up in your as you will see later on, if you don't choose tax, then it doesn't show up in your list of the available account for this type of activities. Okay? So make sure that it's tax. Okay? It can be some other things I don't remember, but tax something I remember. Okay? And you can leave this one empty this one doesn't matter. This one just for the specification, but doesn't do anything to your purchase order. You can leave it like this. Okay, so I'm going to hit save. Okay, and now I should have my new account that's called withholding tax. Okay, and here's the thing. This is where it's kind of tricky because if I were to say 3%, then it's actually the rent goes up. Let me show you. If I hit 3%, okay, then that means that I'm actually paying more, which is wrong. It has to be on the different direction. So it's actually negative 3%. You can try that. And you know, I don't remember this off the top of my head. I'm just trying things. You know, like I'm supposed to pay less. So that's why it's not 3%. It's actually negative 3%, like that. And now I'm paying less. You know, because I need to keep that extra to myself and deal with the government later on. Okay, so negative 3%, so that's withholding tax. Okay, and the rest the same, because once you do this, then yeah, right now you are keeping 150 baht to yourself, and then you need to report that later. I hate this scrolling so much. So 150 baht that you keep to yourself. Okay, so I'm gonna hit save. Okay. And then submit, right? Okay. And keep in mind that purchase order doesn't do anything to your system yet. You know, the thing that log the actual transaction is the purchase invoice. Okay, so I'm gonna create my purchase invoice like that. And again, all of the information should be populated accordingly. Okay, if I were to go down, yeah, I got my withholding tax right here, and then hit save and submit. Yeah. Okay, and then once I do this, I can check my accounting ledger to see, you know, what happened in my transaction, right? So right now, wait, I have marketing expenses. Where does this came from? Wait. Yeah, this is the expense. Wait, marketing, yeah, it's probably expense and creditor. Yeah, but then I do, I need to check where this comes from. I probably set this somewhere. It has to be set somewhere. I can go back and check though, okay? But anyway, this part, the top two should be the same as before, but then you do have this part coming up, right? But again, check this one out because this one is the liability. So that means that you're actually owing the government now this time. So it's a different side from the purchase tax. Okay, so that's withholding tax. Okay, and the same thing is going to happen if you are dealing with the HR module. Like when you have to pay salary, you can withhold the tax from your employees, and you have to deal with the government later. Okay, you cannot keep that money by yourself. Okay. And technically, you can do the same thing on the sales parts too, okay? Although the sales part is kind of confusing, so I'm going to just skip that. But this one actually occurred to me, so I'm a bit, I guess I experienced this one, okay? Okay, and just a little bit more. So I want to show you that, you know, if you want to create the new like template for it, then you can certainly do so because, you know, typing things manually is not the way to go, right? So I'm going to go back to my accounting, and I want to do, this time, I want to do purchase tax because what I just did is the purchase order, right? So I want to do the purchase tax and charge, okay? And again, if you open it, you should see that there's Thailand tax for 7%. But we want to add a new one called withholding tax, okay? And usually I just do 3 because the withholding tax in Thailand it's very complicated because there are many levels for different types of goods and services. So it's not always going to be 3%. Okay, so I do WHT3, just mean 3. And then I can add the row that you can do net total. And the account is going to go to WHT. And the tax rate is going to be negative 3%. Okay, something like that. So if you create the templates like this, you can use this one later on in your purchase order without having to type in things manually. Okay, so yeah, we can do that too. And let's check if it works. Okay. So I'm gonna hit saved again. So I got my so right now I got my withholding tax 3% in my templates. Okay. So I'm gonna check if it's worked in my purchase order. Whoop, not this one. I want to do purchase order. Okay, and just gonna do another one for homeowner, and then let's do rental. Okay, and instead of typing things manually, I can also wait. Yeah, come on down. The scrolling part. Okay, the scrolling. Okay, I can always choose my withholding tax 3%, and then it will get taken care automatically. So yeah, so that's the part. You know, when you, I guess if you, like in your presentation, again in the next year, then if you can, show the process where you create templates beforehand, that'll be good. Because usually when you set up ERP system, you probably have to do some of this, or somebody has to do it for you, right? But yeah, so that's the part. Okay, so I'm going to do one more time. Okay, required by something like that. Submit. And yeah, go ahead and create the purchase invoice just to make sure that you have something in your balance. Submit. Okay, there you go. All right. Again, if I want to report to my government, or I want to check, whether I owe my government some money, then I can always go to general ledger, right? And then I'm going to sort for the WHT now, right? Withholding tax, okay? And I can rebuild and see, right now I'm owing my government, 300 baht. So total right here, okay? Something like that. Mm-hmm. Okay. Another thing that I want to show you is, when you do sales, sometimes you want to charge for something else. Tax is one type of charges, but there are also shipping, which is quite common. So let me just show you real quick how to do that. Very, very simple, because you already know all the ingredients. Okay. So let me just show you that if I were to do sales order. Okay. Let me just selling pen one more time, okay? So my pen customer, and then my pen. Okay, something like that. So usually, if you want to do tax, then yeah, be my guest. I can do tax, okay? 7%, fine, right? But I can also do another shipping tax, because I can always add more row. See that? So this one is called sales tax and charges. So what I'm doing is additional charges. It's not the tax, but something else, right? So I can put it in here, okay? And sometimes when you want to ship things, sometimes it doesn't depend on the, it might depend on your amount, but maybe you have a flat shipping cost, just for simplicity. Then I can always say that this one is called actual. See, it's not calculating from some pre-existing amount, right? It's just flat rate, okay? Again, for the accounting part, you need to specify what's the shipping account is going to be, okay? which let me check because it has to be specific type of account. Okay, so the shipping is it's going to be something that as a service, right? You service your customer, and if I look at my account, there is also already the service account right here. So in the income part, right? Usually when you sell something, it goes into your sales income. But usually shipping, it's like you sell something else, right? The service. So this is probably the appropriate one to go into. Although you can always create a new account called shipping if you want to be very specific to that particular charges. But I'm just going to use my service for now, shall we? Okay, so I'm going to do service. Like that. Huh? And then feel free to come up with any flat amount that you want, shall we? So I'm going to say 50 baht shipping. There you go. So then you're adding another type of things into your total that your customer needs to pay. Okay. And you can save and submit. There you go. Done. Okay, again, this part doesn't do anything to your balance, right? You have to create the invoice first. Okay, so let's do invoice. And let's see what happens if you submit the invoice. So what kind of accounting accounts get affected? Okay? So I'm going to submit the invoice. Okay? And then I can view the ledger. Okay? And you might have guessed that now we have shipping. So there's going to be the service parts that come up, right? And again, we log that balance as the income because you provide service to your customer. So it's the additional income that's coming in. Okay. The rest the same, debtor and sales the same. Okay. Okay. So I just when you prepare your company, you can be more like realistic. Like you charge for tax and shipping, and maybe you have another additional charges. You can be as detailed as you want. And actually, I'm quite interested to see what kind of things that you want to. So let me know if you want some other things. I'll look up for you. Okay. Okay. So again, if you think that this is tedious, we should create the templates for it. There's always template for everything. If you think that you click too many times, chances are there's a template for that. Okay. And this one is called the shipping templates. Okay. So let's us explore the template for shipping a little bit because it has more detail that you might want to have. Okay. I think this one is going to go for selling, right? Selling should be shipping. Yeah, it's called the shipping rule right here. So it's going to be in selling and shipping rule right here. Because certainly shipping is not easy, right? There's some logic to determine the price, right? So that's why this template, it's a little bit more detailed than just the 7%, something like that. It's not that easy, okay? So when I create the shipping rules, then there's a label. So I'm just going to say flat rate, just to be the simplest one, okay? But you certainly can name something else and explore more, okay? And when you do the shipping, there's two sides. There's a selling and buying. And again, this one, when you do shipping for buying, it means that you actually pay for shipping. Okay, so that one's a little different. Okay, so let's say selling first. Okay, and again, you have to do the account. Okay, so this one, if you need to be more specific, you need to create a new account for that. But I'm just going to choose service. Remember the one that we just choose manually? Okay. Okay, and freight and forwarding charges. Oh, okay. So let me. I see that name come up a lot. So let me check out where it is. Probably indirect, right? No, not sure. Wait, view expand. Oh, expense. Yeah, it's in expense. Does it work if you select it? It allows you to select it.
Yeah. Well,
Does it make sense if it's an expense account?
no.
No. Okay. So let me. Yeah, a good question. So usually if I select like shipping account, then I can go down to see what's the filter for. Okay. So actually, this one doesn't filter anything. It allows for all the accounts to be used. My experience with this is that first I choose the asset and it doesn't go through in terms of the actual invoice. So I have to change it into income for it to work. But if you, I can try expense on my own later. But just for now, I think makes sense for me as an income. Wait, should it be expense? What do you think?
Purchaser is paying.
Okay, income. Okay, okay. Okay, let's try that. Okay, but yeah, good questions. Okay. Okay, all right. So I'm gonna choose service. Okay, and cost center, new name, right? We will go through that at the end of this class. Okay, let's just choose main for now. I'm sure, but I'm sure if you use any other software, accounting software, they might have cost center in the other software too. Okay, and the shipping amount. So this one again, you can also do a more complicated calculation of your shipping, but for the simplest one, it's going to be fixed. Okay, so let's say 50 baht. Okay. And actually, there are options that I never use this one. Okay, that's country thing, so could be useful later on. But for now, we can create a shipping rule like this. Okay, and then once we do that, then we can go back to my purchase order, sales order. Okay, and let's check out the shipping rules. Okay, so customers again. And I'm going to do pen. Okay, and let's do 100. And then now I should be able to click at my shipping rule, and you should see this come up. Okay, and then if you click at your shipping rules, then it should automatically populate the right amount. Okay, there you go. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then you can proceed with whatever you want, the actual sales cycle, okay? Okay, and if you look a little bit to your right, there's another thing that actually it's a type of charges, although I never deal with this. You guys know about this? Incoterm. Like, I don't know about this that much, but I should take a look, okay? So I see this all the time. So normally there are like shipping and tax that get used a lot, but then if you have something else, there's nothing preventing you from just adding things manually, if that's the case. Okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna save it and just move on. Okay. Something like that. All right. Okay. Okay, so shipping's done. Okay, and then okay, so return is another thing that can be quite fun. I don't know how tired you guys are, okay? But okay, let me show you, okay? Because it's very possible that people return stuff, okay? So let me explain what happened when you return things, okay? All right, so let's focus on some of the sales order that has been completed, shall we? So this guy, just forget about it, right? But maybe this one in particular, okay? This one right here. For me, it's completed, right? So I'm just gonna go here, okay? And let's just say that my customer returned my pens. What happened, right? So again, if you want to return things, the return part, it's actually you have to go to the delivery, okay? So think about this: if your customer returns stuff to you, it's the reverse of the delivery note, because delivery note is like stuff leaving your warehouse. Returning stuff meaning stuff coming back to your warehouse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my delivery note. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so keep in mind that this is the the part where I deliver things, right? Okay, but then I can always create something called the sales return. Okay, okay, so I'm going to do sales return. There you go. Okay, and again, when I create the sales return, what happened? It's the same document, right? It's the delivery note again. Same thing, same document. But if you look down, you can see that the amount is actually negative. So it's kind of reverse whatever you just sent out, okay? And again, if the customer returned partially, it's okay. You can adjust that number according to what actually happened. But you know, at the beginning, we're just gonna choose the amount that you deliver, okay? So I mean, this one probably not a good example because I just did one, okay? But for you, yeah, you can feel free to try, okay? But let's just keep going, shall we? So I can hit save, and I can hit submit. Okay. All right. So what happened when I submit this document in terms of my ledger? Okay. So accounting ledger first. Okay. So this part is actually reverse of what just happened when you deliver, right? Because when you deliver, your assets goes into your expense. But when you return, then the expense go back into assets. Very simple, right? You got the asset back. So you got more assets in the debit part, okay? But again, this one is not the only thing that, that occur because again, you have to have the actual number changing in your inventory. And that part comes from stock ledger. So if I check my stock ledger, you can see that right now is +1. So stuff coming back into my warehouse. Okay, so that's the return part, right? Very simple in concept, but you know, if you have to, it's kind of hidden in this document. So that's the part like that, you know, and each ERP has different ways of doing things. So it's yeah, it's quite a high learning curve for newcomers. Okay. Again, I return it, right? But then I haven't taken care of the money yet, right? Because the customer already paid me. So how did you deal with the situation where you get the return stuff, okay? So one of the way is to actually something called the credit notes, okay? I don't know if you have heard of it. So, so when you deal with the like enterprise, sometimes you don't need to return the money. If you want to return the money, you can cancel the sales order. That's totally fine. But sometimes you can create the credit notes that can be used for subsequent purchase. Okay. So let me show you how to do this. So I'm going to create the credit notes. Okay. From the return document. So it's kind of, so you have to be in the delivery note, and you create the credit note, right? But then what is the credit notes actually is, right? Turns out that the credit notes is actually just a sales invoice. But it's the opposite of the sales invoice. Because when you do sales invoice, you are the one who has credits. But the opposite of sales invoice is your customer has the credits. That's why it's called the credit notes. Okay? And again, you're going to see this particular marks in here. It's called the credit notes. Okay, so I guess in ERPNext in particular, I'm not sure about the other software, SAP, maybe you can we'll find it out soon. But the credit notes is just the reverse of the sales invoice, okay? All right, so let's come down to see what happened. Again, you can see that the quantity is reversed, right? And also the amount is reversed too, okay? And that is the mechanism for lower the, for using it subsequently for payment, okay? All right, so this guy has this much credit. So I'm going to save it and submit. Like that, okay? Now it's getting quite complicated, I know, right? Lots of things in here. All right, so let's see if we want to maybe use this credit later on for this particular customer. So this pen customer one, you know, when he buys next time, he should get some discount from this credit notes, right? So how do we do with this? Okay, so let's say I sell him another next time. So I do another sales order. Okay, So go back to sales order. Okay, that's too many things now. Okay, let me just create a new one, just for a kick. Okay, so customer like that. Okay, delivery. Okay, and then I'm going to sell him another pen. Maybe I'll sell him 2 pens. Okay, and then it costs 100 each. So he has 100 credits. So this time he only pay 100, but the amount is going to be 200. Okay, saved. Okay, and submit. So this guy is supposed to pay me this much. Okay, and you have to go through the cycle, which is invoice again. So I go through my invoice. Okay, again, the invoice is not the part where we deduct the amount. So we keep on going. Okay, so the invoice the same, just charge him 200. I mean, I guess just make him liable for 200 baht first. Okay. Right? But the part where we reimburse that amount is actually happening in the payment. Okay. So once I create the payment, okay, this is where you're gonna do something. Like normally you don't do much in the payment. Like you just kind of keep going and hit save and submit. But the credit note is actually where you're gonna put something in here. Okay. So in my payment, if I go down, you're gonna see that this payment uses the information from this particular sale invoice, which my customer is liable to pay for 200 bahts, right? But then I thought he has another sale invoice that is the reverse of it. So maybe we can choose that one, okay? So I'm gonna add another row and choose the sale invoice and then the name. And so usually you just have to look at the one that is negative, because the one that is negative is the one with the credits. This one. I cannot see the whole thing. Hold on. Okay, like this. I'm looking for the one that has negative 100. Oh, actually, maybe no. I don't find it. Let me find it real quick just to make sure. Okay, so I'm going to do sales invoice. Okay. And I want to filter. I only have one customer, so I don't need to filter. So, okay, so I'm looking for the one with the negative 107. So I guess because this one includes tax for some reason, so it's actually not 100. So he has 107. Okay, so fine, 107 it is. Okay, so I'm going to choose this one, negative 107, this one right here. Okay, and as you can see that right now you have the balance that are canceling one another, right? You have 200. And you have the negative 107. So that's the part where the credit note is applied. But not yet. This is not the end, because the system doesn't know how much you're going to apply this. Okay, so you have to tell the system, do you want to use all 107, or you want to use it partially? Okay, and that is done through this particular field called the amount, the paid amount. Okay, so let me show you this. If I'm charging him 200 and I want to apply the negative 107, so he needs to pay 93 baht. So let me write it like this, 93. So you have to put this yourself, because that part is it's going to tell the system how much credit you're going to use. Okay, and this one meaning that I use all of it. Okay, and it's going to be displayed here, the unallocated amount. Okay. So right now I use all my 107 baht, so I don't have any unallocated amounts. Okay, but feel free to change the amount on the top to see if to change the amount, like the paid amount to be different, then your unallocated amount will be reflected accordingly. For example, if I were to maybe I don't want to choose all, so he has to pay more. Let's say 100, right? And then I go down, which is kind of weird, right? Oh, okay. It doesn't change right away. You have to hit save one time, because this one needs save, I think, to wait. It doesn't save. That's it. Hold on. That's interesting. I thought it would be changed. Let me. 93. Does it work? Total allocated amount, okay, 93 unallocated. But if I change it to 200, then yeah, I should change. Okay, yeah, that's right, because this one changes now. I don't understand why the other, it doesn't happen. And right now my computer is acting very strange. Okay, I'll try again. So I say 150, then the part, hold on. Maybe I get it the other way, right? So if he has 200, oh, right here. What? Sorry. So I think the part where you kind of allocate is this one. So if this is the amount that he has and I want to allocate this much, right? So yeah, so that's the part. So I think I might get confused here. So I think I have to look from here, okay? So you kind of have to kind of play around with this too, so that you use the right credits, right? So right now if I say 150, then he only used 50 out of 107. So that's what it is, okay? And maybe I can go through with that to see. But for some reason, I thought this one will get reflected, but it's obviously not. Okay, so I'm not sure. Okay, and then my computer is not doing well, so yeah. Okay, let me just go through with that first, okay? But in the end, I can apply 150 here, and then I can submit. And then, yep, that's it, okay? And then if I look at my ledger, okay, you can see that there are parts that are coming out from my debtor, okay? And there are parts that so there are two parts in here. There are parts that are from the things that customer owe me at the beginning. And there are also parts that, he has some credits, and then it kind of get a balance in here, okay? So that's how it works, okay? And again, if I were to do this again, that person can also apply the same payment, like the sale invoice to another payment, and use the remaining credits, and that way, okay? I know that this part is not the most straightforward, so I guess I would say that in many ERP systems, there are areas where certain software do certain area better. And I would say that this one is not too straightforward. It's kind of complicated, the way that they devise this kind of activity. Okay. Okay. Apply, yep, asset account. Okay, yeah, that's kind of a detail. Okay. Okay. I guess almost the last topic that I want to show you is point of sale, because what we have been doing so far is selling things in bulk. Like buying things in bulk is not uncommon, but selling things in bulk, it's retail selling is probably the big thing in today's business. So if you want to do retail, going through the sales cycle that we did since the beginning of the class is too tedious. You don't want to do that when customer come to your store and buy one thing, and you have to do sales order, sales invoice, delivery note, and payment. That's too much. Okay, so point of sale is the activity where you need to sell things quickly, but then behind the scene, you want the system to track in the same way. But you need to do the liability, your asset, your expense correctly, but do it in pretty much just one click. And this module allows you to do just that. Okay, but you need to set up a little bit. So let me show you how to do. And it's kind of fun, because after you set it up, then you can pretty much just set up your retail store with the iPad, and then just start doing the cashier. Okay. All right. Let's do it. So first off, I want to create a customer, because again in ERP, when you sell something to someone, you need the customer. But this time I want to do customer that's called just walk-in. So let's imagine that I also have a retail store for my business. So I'm going to go to buying and customer, or you can just say customer in here. Okay, customer. Okay, and this time I'm just going to say walk-in customer, because I don't really care who they are, right? But but there needs to be a customer so that the system can track, the amount and things like that. So it's going to be individual. And that's it, walk-in customers. Okay, next stop, I'm going to go to selling. Okay, I'm going to create what's called the POS, point of sale profile. So selling and point of sale profile. Okay. Again, this is like a template of, because if you don't do this, you have to click too many things. So having a profile, it's quite useful. So I'm going to add in the new profile. Okay. And you can name this anything. So usually you name the POS by the location or the cashier machine. Maybe you can do like cashier 1, cashier 2, things like that. I'll just do cashier 1. Okay. Warehouse, so this is where your stuff is getting out of. Okay, so usually you, like for the real system, you might need to have a separate warehouse for the POS or do a store basically, right? So right now I'm just say store because I think this is where all of your stuff is situated. Okay. Okay, and the rest you can leave the rest for now. Okay. And this part is where if you like have cashier with different accounts, then you can start to limit the access for each of the cashier. So this one system can be, you can do multiple POS profile for different cashier at the same time. It's pretty cool, okay? Okay, so the payment, you have to choose the mode of payment, and usually this is the same as when you do the payment entry. So let's do something quick like cash, okay? And you can certainly do another type of payment, but again, you need to set up the account first, which we haven't done it. So I'm just going to delete them for now, okay? And make sure that you select the default, okay? So default, okay, so it needs to have one default payment for this to work. Usually cash is appropriate, but nowadays it could be QR code, although you might treat QR code as a cash, okay? And again, my computer is not scrolling down, so I need to drag down like this. It's kind of tedious, okay? All right, so next stop, we're going to do this one, accounting. Again, when you do selling, you have to specify some accounting, okay? And, there are pretty much, the same thing that you expect, like what is the income, expense, tax, and charge, right? So these are the things that if you want to charge your customer, and where does the charge go, and things like that. So this one is a default for that particular activities. But we can leave it blank for now. But the one that it needs is actually called the write-off account, okay? So the write-off account is when there is a mismatch between the money that you take out and the money that you return plus the sales amount. Because sometimes when you do point of sale, you can lose money. Or you might just, pay the customer the wrong return. That could happen. So due to the human error, sometimes the balance doesn't match. And whenever you have that mismatch of the balance, it goes into the write-off account. That is the expense. Okay? So in ERPNext, there is already an account called write-off. Okay, this one is in the expense category. So perfect for that one. Okay? And then cost center, this one, again, I will cover this one very, very soon. So just choose the one that is available for now, which is main. Okay, I will cover cost center after this. Okay, and I think that's it. You can save. You got the profile. Okay. Okay. Next stop. Okay, so you got the profile. So the next stop is called the entry, opening entry. Okay, so this guy right here. Okay, so what it's doing is this one. So think about this. When you do POS, it usually occur daily, or I don't know, weekly or something, right? So you have the profile, say cashier 1, but then every morning you open the entry. So like in the morning you open the entry for today, And by the end of the day, you close that entry, meaning you close the cashier one. And then the day after, you open the entry for the other day. So almost like that. So that's how it works. So that's why we create the profile, and then we do the entry for a particular day or a particular period that that particular cashier is active. Okay, so I'm going to do opening entry, okay, and have to create another opening entry. Okay, it's a lot of clicking at the beginning, but yeah, that's unfortunate. Okay, but you already have the profile, so we can check the profile. Okay, and this part, the opening amount, is the amount that you put into the cashier. Okay, so because you need to, sometimes you need to pay the customer back, right? So opening amount, let's say 5,000 baht, something like that. And again, the opening amount has to match whatever you return at the end of the entry plus the sale. And something like that. If it doesn't match, then the write-off account, that's what it's for. Okay? All right, so you can save and submit. And now you're ready to sell in the retail store. Okay? Okay, so the next part is for some weird reasons. I don't really know why, but they don't put that menu on. Like there's no menu for that POS opening, like active part. Like so weird, because if I go to selling, there's no option for the opening that POS page for some reason. What you have to do is you have to type in here and type POS and type open point of sale. I don't know why. Like for me, it would be very nice if they put this option right on the navigation, but they do not. Okay, so I don't know why. But if you open it, then you should start to see something quite familiar, right? This looks like the system where if you go to a coffee shop and they have the screen, right? And you can even just collapse this part so that it just looks like the actual screen, right? We tried it with the iPad, it worked. You can use the iPad and touch thing, right? So right now, if you put pictures on it, then you can start selling. For example, when the customer comes in, right, I can choose walk-in customer, okay, like this. Actually, there's a way to default to the walk-in customer. You have to put into the profile, okay? And then you can sell, maybe you can sell pen, one pencil. It's actually, I don't have pencil, so I'm going to say pen, okay? And again, the amount that is available is actually, actually, I cannot sell pencil because there's no price for it, okay? If you haven't sold anything, there's no price for it, you cannot sell the POS. I'll show you how to put the price on it later. But since I already sell a lot of pen, so it knows that my pen costs 20 baht, right? I can click on it, and then you can see the entries here, right? And once you're done, you can check out, right? This is for one customer, right? You can check out, okay? And then you can see that the payment method. So if you have multiple payment methods, then you can kind of check in, set it in here. And if you're done, you can complete the order. Just like when you, when you do with the system in the actual one in the retail store, okay? And if you want, you can connect your thermal printer that print the long receipts, and you print the receipts from here, okay? Again, this is for one customer, right? We can also, when the new customer comes in, we can do new order, okay? And then just start selling things again. Okay, so we're gonna do another pen, things like that, okay? Oh, you have to do customer first. Yeah, I forgot. Okay, customer first, and then the pen, like that, okay? And then check out. So help me sell a couple more orders, shall we? Like that. I'll just do another one, okay? Okay, I guess if you, like in your presentation, if you put pictures on it, it will be really nice. You see like the picture looks nice, okay? Okay, I just sold it. Okay, once you start selling, you're gonna see that there are, you can check your history. You can go to recent order, and you can check what's what your orders are for this particular opening. Okay, like this. So you can do this filtering from the drop-down menu. Okay, something like that. Okay, and then you can kind of do that. Okay. So just sell a couple more orders, right? And you can imagine that this process go through the whole day, for example. Okay. And what's cool about this is that once you put all of this in like this, then it automatically takes care of the activity that we did since the beginning, which is order, invoice, payment, and delivery. So basically behind the scene, it's taking care of that transaction for you, but with just one click like this. So very, very fast, okay? Suitable for retail stores, okay? Okay, but so let's imagine that that's the end of the day, right? You sell this many orders, right? You can close the entry. Like closing entry means closing the day, like the period's done. So I can close the POS from here. Okay, so imagine the end of the day, you close the profile, the opening profile. Okay, so close it. Okay, and now you have to take care of whatever left, right? For example, it's gonna list it. I think it's gonna list it things that you sold, right? Yeah. So all the transaction that's going on is gonna be listed in here, right? And then it's gonna say that now you get this much, right? But then in the end, you have to return the money too, because you get the money in the cashier at the beginning, you take it out, then you need to return what's the closing amount in terms of your, no, not this one, right? Sorry. Yeah, this is the closing amount. So if you count your cashier, right, let's say you sell for 200 baht. So the system expects that the money in the cashier is going to be 5,200. But if you don't have enough or you have more for some reason, then that difference is going to go into the write-off account, which is your expense. So let's say that you, I don't know, you make the wrong change to your customer and then you only have 5,100. Then that particular 100 baht is going to go as your expense in your write-off account, okay? Something like that, okay? Something like that. You can submit, and there you go. You're done, okay, with the retail store, okay? Okay, and just to show you what happened, again, is that, all of the things that are in here, it's actually enclosed in what's called the POS cell invoice. Okay, behind the scene, the document that's relevant to the point of sale is called the POS invoice. Okay, let me go back in here. I don't need this one. Let me go back. Okay, if I go back to my selling, okay, and I go to my POS. Where is my POS invoice? Point of sale. Is here? Yeah, it's POS invoice. It's actually not in here. I'm wondering why it's not in here. POS invoice. Okay, no. Okay, all right. Okay, it's not here, but let me show you this. It's called the POS invoice. So that's the invoice that relevant to the. Wait, nope. Hey, why is that? Did I submit it already? Maybe I forgot to submit my POS or something. Let me see. Okay, I submitted already. Oh, okay. I remember now. Okay, so the invoice actually just the normal invoice. I think if I click into it and I check it out. Yep. Okay. Yeah, it's the normal invoice actually. You can see that, right? But this special invoice that comes from POS, it has this particular setting. Okay, and this setting is quite important because if you tick like this, it's gonna go ahead and perform the payment and then delivery automatically. So within this one document, it actually encapsulate the payment part and also the delivery part within the same document. Okay, so that's what it is. Okay, and maybe I think I can look at the ledger to see what's happening inside. Yep, yeah, just one document, and you can see that's actually involved the sale and the stock at the same time. So that's the mechanism that allows the POS to work, because you need one document that takes care of the delivery and the payment at the same time. So that's what it is. Okay, so it's just a normal sale invoice, but it takes care of that part for you. So that's something that I use from time to time actually. So like there could be a situation where if I want to create the sales invoice, right? Sometimes you might be able to do this too. For example, I create the sale invoice and I include the POS right away with the particular profile. And if I do this, then actually with just one document, I take care of the payment and the delivery at the same time. And this is actually usually something that I do when I want to connect ERP into the outside system. For example, like Shopee and Lazada, right? Sometimes you do the retail store at the other system, but sometimes you want to like import the sales transaction from Shopee into your ERPNext. And the way that I do is to get the transaction from Shopee and create the sales invoice with POS like this. It actually works to sync between like accounts and inventory. Okay. And that's kind of extra stuff, but yeah. So there are tricks like this if you kind of go in depth into how this thing works. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. One more thing that I want to show you is that right now, if I do POS, okay, I think it's gonna close. Nothing's open. Yep. So when you want to do POS, you have to make sure that it's actually open. So right now it's not open. So I need to open one more. So let me just open one more thing for you. So I'm going to go to my cell, right? And then I'm going to open another entry. Okay, so this one's already closed, right? So I need to, let's say, imagine this is another day. So I'm going to, I have to do start date now, and then another profile, and then save. Oh, cashier. I need to choose cashier. Oh, hold on. Great. So it needs another user for some reason. Is it because I already closed it? Yep. I think so. Yeah, I already closed it. So, I remember that part where you need to do the cashier parts, but I thought you can just do any user. Obviously not, right? Okay, let me just check this one real quick. Okay, the cashier part's there, and then opening. Let's do opening again. So maybe the start date should be a little bit, let's say tomorrow or something for that. Okay. Yeah. So because the first time it doesn't ask me for it, so I'm wondering why. Because this part I remember doing that too. I need to create another user. For example, if I create like a new name, like cashier at cmu.com, right? Like it will work if I do this. Okay. Okay. Nope. Okay. He has to be. I think he has to be. Let me skip this one. Some row, okay. Might as well just create other row for now. Okay, never mind. Okay, yeah. See, first, I remember doing this, okay, because you need to give the cashier the account, like who's going to be your cashier, something like that. But the first time it didn't ask me for it, so I'm wondering why. Like if it's asked me like this, I'm okay. But the first time it doesn't ask me, it's kind of weird. So anyway, that's what it is. Okay. Then I'm gonna save. Okay. And then submit. So usually, if you're not the system manager, then you have to be this particular person to open the POS. Like nobody, like if you don't give this specification, then nobody can open the POS page. But since you are the admin, right? So I can always do this. I think. Oh, I need to. Oh, what? Wait, I have to do another profile. It's kind of weird. Ah, it's open already. Okay, I cannot make it open. So this one, I thought I can do it. Okay, I don't want to be debugging for you. So let me figure this out later. I'll explain what happened. Usually, like there's a time, and there's a user permission that kind of prevent things from happening. So without check things a little bit more carefully, I can just it might not be. It might take some time. So let me skip to the last topic I want to show you, which is called the cost center, because this one is kind of a neat tool, I think, for the accountants. Okay, so normally we separate the transaction by accounts, right? Which is normal, right? We have assets, liability, and things like that. But there's also another. It's called dimension. But what I view it as another filter. So another filter that you can slice your data in a different ways, and sometimes that helps you get some more insights into your data. Okay. So it's called cost center. Okay, so usually people do it by tracking or slicing your data by segment of your organization. So you might want to do like cost center for your particular department to see like what its department is doing exactly. Okay, and or you can also do by products if you want to see if this product is profitable or the other one is profitable or not. And that way you don't need to create, different, like a huge amount of accounts, because you can slice it with the cost center. That's the way to do. So if you notice, okay, I will just show it to you. If you go to general ledger, for example, okay, you're gonna see that there's a filter called cost center. It's in here. Where is it? This guy, this one, okay? You will notice that in every financial statement, there is a filter called cost center. It's actually everywhere, okay? This is general ledger, right? What about balance sheet, right? What happened? Like if I go to my financial reports, right? Like balance sheet, how about this? Cost center, okay? How about, I don't know, payable? Cost center, okay? So if you can imagine that it's actually everywhere, okay? So if you know in particular what you want to separate things by, you can put in all your, you can tag your document with a different cost center, and you can quickly filter, your particular section of your transaction very quickly. And make it more relevant to what you want. Okay. So for example, let's create a new cost center for shall we? So I'm going to go to accounting. Okay, and it's going to be cost center, which is somewhere in here. Cost center. Chart of cost center. Okay, but I want cost center. Actually, I don't know where it is. I'm just going to search for it. Yeah, I need this one, cost center list. Okay, probably hiding somewhere in here. Okay. Okay, and again, it looks somewhere like a charge of account, which it's another way of grouping information, right? So I'm going to add another cost center, which is child for this. Although you can be crazy with it, there's folder, there's things like that. You can be as detailed as you want. But let's say this one is for the department 1, right? So we want to track the, all kind of activity regarding department 1. So I'm going to say cost center is department 1. Okay, and create new. And that's it. You got the new cost center. Okay, so let's do this. So let's say this department is buying something, right? So purchase order. Let's say I add purchase order, okay? And now you're gonna be using, not this one, right? But let's say pen factory, right? You're gonna see this one. You never used this one before, right? It's the cost center. Okay. Now, if it's not, if you don't tag anything, I think it's called main. The main is the default one, but you can certainly choose something else like department 1. And now it's gonna start tracking, like tagging this one as the department 1. Okay, save. Oh, okay, I need a lot of information. So let's just fill it in real quick, shall we? Like that, maybe 10 and then 100. Okay, saved. Okay, and then submit. Okay, and again, you can always come back and see that. Okay, so this document pertains to this particular cost center. If you don't do it, it will be main by default. Okay. All right, so let's create the invoice because, again, purchase order doesn't do anything to your statement. So let's do invoice, okay? And once you do invoice, again, the accounting dimension will become department 1 automatically, okay? And this one will trigger down to any subsequent document that you created too. Okay, so save and submit. Okay. And maybe you can just go through with the payment and things like that. Just kind of go through all the purchase cycle. So I'm going to create the payment. And again, this one, I think it should have the same, pretty much the same thing. Cost center, yeah, same thing. So the payment also can be tagged with the cost center. Okay, submit. Okay. If I go back to my purchase order, if I were to create the delivery note, the purchase receipt, again, my purchase receipt will also have department 1. See, it's everywhere. Like once you start from the purchase order, then your choice of the cost center is actually trickle down to the subsequent documents. Okay, so I'm going to save and submit. Okay, like that. Okay, so I got the purchase, right? So let me just sell something so that I can see the profit, right? So I'm going to create the sales order. And add another sales order. And then customer, it's just a pen customer, right? And then I'm going to do pen, okay, and delivery date. And then just sell something in for profit. I don't know. Maybe that's too much. Okay, 15. Okay, and before I go, I need to tag with the cost center of department 1. Okay, and that's it. And then now you can go through your sales order. Okay, submit, right? It's gonna be invoice. Invoice also has the cost center. Okay, already tagged in. Submit. Okay, and I can do payment. Payment also will be associating with the cost center too. Okay, save, submit, and then going back to delivery note. So I'm going fast because I'm running out of time. So that's why. Okay, I'm running out of time. Delivery note, and again cost center there. Okay, so as you can see that it's just one little thing that you need to adjust, and the rest you don't have to do anything. It will just get specified automatically. Okay. Okay. So right now the cost center one, I put it in the sales and the purchase cycle. So let's see what happened to the department 1, right? What happened, right? So when I go back to my financial reports, I can go to my balance sheet, right? So right now this is my whole company, right? But then I can always come here, department 1. I want to see what my department is doing worse today because it's selling things at a loss, right? And again, you get this type of analysis without creating additional account. Because think about it, you can do the same thing by creating an account for that department. Maybe you have the debtor for department 1, debtor for department 2. but that's gonna get too tedious in no time. So cost center like offer you another way of slicing your data without creating more additional accounts. So that's kind of neat, right? So do use that if you want to try out. It's kind of cool. Like it helps you. Like if you think about it, if you have like different products and you separate products by cost center, you can see what each product is doing by just filtering like this. Pretty cool. Okay. Again, before we go, I want to kind of interlude you to what we're gonna do maybe next time if we have maybe a couple 2 times we have time. Is that in addition to cost center, there's another way of grouping your data. It's called projects, okay? If I were to add the sales order, okay? If I go to account dimension, there's one called cost center, another one called project, okay? So ERPNext is very generous in terms of giving you ability to group your data. So project is another way of doing. So project and cost center is similar, but cost center is something that kind of existing in your company, like department or products always exist, right? But project is more like something that you come up temporary. Like for maybe you have a new idea for development of new product. You want to do R&D, and you want to track just that particular R&D, which it's temporary. Then the project would be a perfect way to group that transaction relating to that R&D to see if maybe that's okay, if that's okay, something like that. But it works the same way as the cost center, because if you were to go back to any financial statement, for example, you're going to see that another way that you can filter your transaction is project. So cost center and project is kind of equivalent in a way that I viewed it. So you have tons of ways you can do your data. So yeah, if you want, you can take advantage of that. Okay? All right. So, and the very last thing I want to show you today is called the period closing voucher. Okay? I'm sure as the accountant, like you go through the fiscal year, and at the end of the year, you gotta close your, close your account, meaning that get rid of all the income and expense and take care of everything, and maybe pay your investor, right? So you can do that. Okay. So at the end of the fiscal year, there's a period closing voucher, and that one can be accessed from accounting, going down, and this one right here. Okay, so you will be doing this, I guess, once in per cycle. Okay, so let's explore, okay, a little bit. It's not hard, okay. So I'm going to do closing voucher, right, and transaction dates, right, and what fiscal year you want, something like that, and what's the start and the end dates, right, and then what are the I guess the account that get all the difference or the total balance. So what you want, I want to pay my creditor maybe, so I can choose whatever I want to go through, okay, and the remarks like that, and that's it, okay, and you can submit that, okay. But keep in mind that if you do submit this document, that means that you cannot modify anything at all, because it's like you set in stone, right? So sometimes what I found is that if I do this, then it might interfere with what I want to do next, because that fiscal year is already closed. So it might be better for you not to submit this, because if you try something else during this fiscal year, it's probably going to break. It's probably going to prevent you from doing that, because it's kind of fixed the transaction in that year. Okay, so if you happen to submit it, you can cancel it. It's totally okay, but it's just the mechanism that prevents you from adding any more transaction in that year. So you're probably gonna be better off just create a new year and then work on from that, or not submitting this document. But just want to make sure that you be aware of this type of documents. Okay. Whew. All right. So yeah, I spent all the time I have. So yeah, I'll see you next week.